Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I wanted to talk about Torchlight, uh, Dungeon Siege 3, Diablo 3, and it's just action RPGs, my favorite one so far. First, I wanted to say something. I was not going to do this as a vlog. I was going to make this as a gameplay video, and I was recording Torchlight 2. I've decided to return to Torchlight 2 just for the heck of it. I was going through my library and I was like, what do I want to play? And I love action RPGs, so I was like, I'll play some Torchlight 2. It's been a long time since I played that. I have 40 hours played on it, somewhere around there. So it's a really cool game. Um, check my, let me see. All right, so but I haven't played it in a while, not because I don't like it or anything. I just was playing other stuff, especially after Diablo 3's newest patch that happened before Reaper of Souls. Um, Made the game what it should have been from the start. Really, really. That I wouldn't just say that. I played Diablo 1. I loved it. I didn't play it as long because when I played Diablo, the first one, I did not own a PC of my own at the time. I played it at friends' houses. I played lots. I played lots of Diablo 1, but I never got to play it at home. I did play it on my PlayStation. I had the Diablo version on the PlayStation, and I loved it, man. It was really cool. I was really impressed that they could do that. With the controller, it was really well done. So, anyways, and then I had a PC when Diablo 2 was out, and I played that for 5.5 years. Loved it. So when Diablo 3 came out, I was really into it, and the gameplay and all the stuff that they did with the game itself was really cool. It was just the loot system that was it was like, why bother? Why bother go killing stuff? I can't even upgrade my own gear. I was level 60, or when I was level 58 with my monk when I stopped playing Diablo 3. Like, I had switched, I played different classes. I played them all of them. I played all of them because that's what I do when I play a game. I give everything a shot. And I usually enjoy all of them. Of course, some more than others. So my monk was my highest level until I switched to witch doctor, which I got him to 60 first, which surprised me because I liked the monk a lot. But I stopped playing my monk at 58, got my witch doctor to 60. Um, what was funny to me was because when I switched over to the wizard was my favorite class, like instantly. Even after I played my witch doctor, like I knew that I preferred the wizard, but the witch doctor was really interesting. So I just kept leveling him because he was just an interesting class. He wasn't my favorite, but he was really interesting. It was a really neat class to play as. Um, so I just I couldn't get anything, any upgrades. My level 58, my level 60. I was playing, and I didn't use the auction house like I wanted to. I wanted to sell items. I didn't want to buy them because I like when I play a game, I want to play to earn my own stuff or whatever. Like that's fun to me is finding my own stuff, especially in a game like Diablo. Like when you come from Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, you expect to be able to find your own gear. So I couldn't believe how much of an effect the auction house had on the loot. It didn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense to me. Like, it does not make sense to me. Like, they removed the auction house in order to make the loot better. Like, why? Why didn't they just have both? And I've had people argue with me about it, and they've never, to me, nobody's made a valid argument. Nobody's said something that made sense to me. Like, nobody, and I've read some stuff. People make this big old post about. I don't read it. There was one. Somebody made a big old post about it, and like in the first paragraph, he said something so completely stupid that I just couldn't keep reading. I was like, no, thanks, man. You already ended your argument with just by saying that. But I've read some arguments from people, and they write out a huge speech, and I'll read it because it's they have a a good viewpoint. It's not like I understand it, but I don't agree with it. But some people they just say some stupid stuff. So anyways, so I would read through it, and I'd be like, you still haven't convinced me that the auction house had to go for the loot system to be good. Like it just does not make sense. Why can't you have both? So anyways, so that's what happened with Diablo 3. It was completely ruined by the auction house. It didn't have to be. It didn't friggin' have to be, but it was. But I played like 100. I played 120 hours before I stopped playing it, and that's that's a good amount of time. That's even, for what I spent $60 on it, and I wouldn't take that back, and especially now, especially after the changes that they made. It's like, yeah, like I love that game so much more now. So, anyways, um, I was playing Torchlight 2, and Torchlight 2 is a lot of. I love the cartoony style to it, really beautiful, and that had a loot system from the start that was like rewarding. At this point, though, it's not as good as Diablo 3 now because of the patch that Diablo 3 had, but Torchlight 2 is a really good game. And then there's the other one, Path of Exile, which that's just when I think Path of Exile, I think put me to sleep boredom. Like, and it sucks to say that because it's not a bad game. It just to me it didn't feel like an action RPG. It just felt like grind, just and with an action RPG, it shouldn't feel like a grind. Like people complain about grinding all the time. I don't see it the same way that most gamers do. Like, because grinding is pretty much what you do in every game you play, no matter what. But when it feels like a grind, it's different than when it is a grind. Like I've played so many games where I'll grind through them, but it won't be boring because the actual gameplay is fun. It's worth playing through. The grind itself, that's all it is. It's as long as it's fun, then the grind doesn't matter. It's just part of playing. That's all it is. It's not even when you can play a game and you're just playing it to play it. It's a grind, but you don't think of it as a grind. Because a grind is when you feel like you have to do something, a certain way to level up and all that kind of stuff. So to me, that's how Path of Exile felt that way within 10 levels. To me, I mean, probably within 5 levels, it was really boring. Like, and I don't want to say that because I don't want to turn people off of it. Like, I, one thing to me is for me, I never let other people's opinions affect if I'm gonna try a game or not. Like, I consider them, and I like to know what people think, but they don't ever. There hasn't been a single opinion ever that has stopped me from playing a game. Like, especially when there's a game that I think looks cool, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna play that because somebody else didn't like it. Like, I want to slap people when they act like that. Like, oh, you guys didn't like it, I guess I just won't play it then. Like, what? Do you not have your own thoughts and feelings? You can't look at some gameplay in a trailer and see like, I think I'm interested in that. No, somebody else says it's bad, so you're like, oh, I just won't play it then. Like, and it like I'm not saying like it shouldn't stop you from spending $60. Like that makes sense. But when there's a game that you can try completely free, if there's a demo, whatever, if it's free to play, freaking try it. Like, just try it. So when I say the bad stuff about Path of Exile, it's funny because like I don't think it's a bad game. I just think it's incredibly boring. So, and it's like, what does that make sense? Because it's for the people that like that kind of stuff. To me, it doesn't feel like an action RPG. It's a grind. It felt like a grind right from the start, pretty much. Because I remember I liked it right away, but it didn't take long where I was like, this is really slow. This is just slow. And it might have been the class I was playing, but I don't think so because I played a couple classes and I didn't like it. Like, the graphics are really nice. They have they have patched the living crap out of that game to make it like a super hardcore, awesome game. But I returned every time there was a major patch, and every time I'd start playing, I'd be like, it feels the exact same to me, and I'm sure it's different in the end game, but I don't even want to bother getting there. Like, I'm just like, I'm so bored leveling up, and that shouldn't be the case. And it makes, like, to me, it makes sense to be bored leveling up if you're leveling up alts. Like I played World of Warcraft for 6 years, a little over 6 years. I'm not sure. I know it was at least the bare minimum 6 years, but more than that. And I played every single class to level cap, not just once, but twice for pretty much every class, just from switching servers and stuff like that, whatever. Um, so and more than twice, not level cap, more than twice. I think I got every character class in World of Warcraft level cap. At the time, level 70 twice, every single class. So there was a point where I got to where it felt like a grind, but not because I didn't enjoy the game, but because I'd already done it so many times. But the first time, every time that I played a class from 1 to 60, 1 to 70, the first time I played an individual class, it didn't feel like a grind, because it was just different. And it's not super different, but it was different enough, and so it didn't feel like a grind because I loved the game. The game was a lot of fun to me. I loved it. So the grind came after, I'd done it so many times. I'm talking about like I got each class to max to level cap twice, but that wasn't all. I also had tons more alts that were in their 30s and 40s. Like it's just that's how much time I spent playing that game, and I wouldn't take it back. I love that game. It was really cool. So, anyways, so the grind, Path of Exile, I was really surprised. I was really surprised because it felt like a grind right away. Like I was just like, dude, like, can I kill some monsters here, or do I gotta sit here and whack away at every damn one of them? Like, so bored, so bored. So I think a lot of people really like Path of Exile for the character customization, which to me is not impressive. It's not. I was going through the skill trees, and I was just like, yeah, it's smoke and mirrors to me. It's completely fake. It's just nonsense. And I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but that's what it is to me. That's how I feel about it. Uh, if somebody could say something to convince me, like, maybe play the wrong class, look again, whatever. But I tried it several times. I played a lot of it in the closed beta, and I returned to it every time there's a major patch. And it was just every time I started the game, like I would start from level 1, because that's why I get to level 10 or 15 or something. It was just I'd start it up and I'd be bored right away, just bored, and it's really frustrating to say and think that, because at the same time I don't think it's a bad game. It's hard to explain. 'Cause I know the reason I can say that is because I know people like that kind of thing. It has stuff to offer, but to me it's just not something I want to play. Dungeon Siege 3 though, I love Dungeon Siege 3, man. Firstly, one of the first things I always notice is the graphics. And that's not, it's not a seller for me. Like, but that's how do you not see graphics when you play a game? And people that say like graphics don't matter make me want to slap them, because it doesn't make sense. And I can agree that it doesn't make a game, doesn't make it good. That's for damn sure. Like duh. But if you say graphics don't matter, I think you're an idiot. Like, sorry, that I'm not gonna. That just has never changed for me. Like if you think graphics don't matter, you're an idiot. Pull out an Atari, go play that. If you really think that. They got lots of good games on the Atari, lots of them, hundreds. Go play Atari and shut your freaking hole, because you're an idiot. I so anyway, sorry. I could go on and on about that. I could go on and on about how graphics do matter. So Dungeon Siege 3 is gorgeous. It's like the detail that's put into that game is really deep. The costumes, the level design, just especially the character costumes. Like I couldn't believe, the level designs and the backgrounds and everything are really impressive, but I could not believe the costumes. Like it's insane, and they're alive too. A lot of the costumes, they move, they're animated. It's just beautiful. And then to top that off, of course, is the gameplay. The gameplay is great. It's an action RPG, but with like WASD controls, which is a little weird. It's definitely hard to get used to. But once you get used to it, it's cool stuff. It's fun. And there's also the option to use the point and click. You can still do that if you just want to point and click with the action on there. You can. They didn't take that away. They just made new options for the controls, so it's really cool. And the story, I'm pretty sure it's it probably depends on speed runs and stuff. I mean, some people just rush through stuff, but I'm sure I spent at least 30 hours on the story, at least for an action RPG. That was pretty impressed by that. I think it's closer to 40 hours, but I'm not sure. I didn't actually time it, but I know that I spent at least 30 hours on the campaign because of the time played on Steam and stuff and whatever. So it's like really cool game. So I like it. I think it's funny because people complain about Dungeon Siege 3 that played Dungeon Siege 1 and 2, and I played Dungeon Siege 1. I got the complete pack. I played Dungeon Siege 1 for like 10 minutes, and it was just too old. Like I wasn't interested. I was playing it and I was like, well, this is like Diablo except older and it's not fun anymore. Not to me, not these days. Like I can understand why it'd been really cool back then, and I might return to it sometime, but I doubt it. I haven't tried Dungeon Siege 2 yet. It looks better and look cooler. I just haven't tried it yet. After 1, I was like, whatever. They're pretty old games, but I really like 3 a lot. That's a really cool, crazy game. And then the another one that I highly recommend is Marvel Heroes. It's free to play, completely free to play. And there's, some of the stuff that's in the store, pisses me off, like, cause like I want it, but I'm not gonna spend as much money as they're asking for. And but I spent $5 on Marvel Heroes. I bought an extra stash slot because it's an RPG, so I was just farming the crap out of stuff. And there's a point where you get all this really good loot, anyways. So definitely a really cool game. It's fast paced, actually feels like an action RPG, a lot like Diablo. I mean, that's David Brevik who made Diablo 2, I guess. Producer, creator, I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. Whatever. He's the main guy that everybody refers to when you think Diablo. So, and he's the one that made Marvel Heroes, made it what it is, and that's improved too. When I played the closed beta, I liked it a lot. I thought it was fun, but I wasn't impressed by it. Like I thought it was super cool, and I was slightly impressed. But now, a lot like every game when they get patched up, like now Marvel Heroes is insane. Like it's really good. It's super good. So, especially if you like, Marvel comic books, Marvel comic characters, really, really cool. So, I highly recommend that. I've I've been in small arguments with a friend of mine that I met in World of Warcraft, and we played Diablo 3 together. And very cool guy, and he loves Path of Exile, and I would keep saying like, man, it's so boring. And he tried Marvel Heroes, and he didn't like it. So, but it's the difference too. Like Marvel Heroes, there's not as much character customization as there is in Path of Exile, and that's a plus for people. They want that character customization. But to me, the character customization in Path of Exile is as pointless as it was in Diablo 2. And I loved Diablo 2. Okay, like I said, I played that for so long, and I loved the changes made in Diablo 3. I loved that you can, for each class, you can just change them whenever you want. You don't have to regrind their levels all the way through again, just to try a different build. You can just try different builds whenever you want. It's so much fun, and I like that. So I thought that was a major improvement rather than. And people were like, "Oh, but if you mess up, you have to go start over." Like, okay, why is that a plus? I, I don't know. Some people like that though. Some people like that, obviously. So that's cool. So, anyways, I think that's it. Well, I wanted to talk about some action RPGs, because I was playing Torchlight too, and when I was playing, doing a gameplay video, I was talking about this stuff. Like it just came up. Like I was just talking about it. I was like, oh, Diablo 3, Diablo 2, Marvel Heroes, Path of Exile, this and this and this, and then found out that my recording came out bad. I'm still trial and erroring. I'm trying to figure out how to get the sound to work right and all that stuff. So, anyways. All right. Well, let me know what you think. Have you played both Path of Exile and Marvel Heroes? Which one do you prefer and why? And if you haven't played Diablo 3 since the newest patch and the expansion, it's worth returning to. Like, it really, really is. Especially if you're a Diablo fan. If you love that stuff, you love Diablo, Diablo 3 is where it should have been all along. It's freaking awesome. So all right, we'll talk to you later and game on.